Hello, everyone. My name is Adam Shabatis. I am an audit senior manager at KPMG in Detroit. And I am here today to talk to you guys about digital innovation. So a little bit of background about me. Like I said, I work for KPMG. We are one of the big four public accounting firms. And one of my roles at KPMG is that I am a business unit audit technology lead. So what that means is that I am responsible for deploying different types of accounting and audit technologies to the field at our offices in Michigan. On top of all that, I'm also a CPA, and I am one of the members of the MI-CPA Emerging Leaders Task Force. So what I'm here to talk to you guys about today is a little bit of a background on how the accounting profession is changing right now and what we are doing to innovate, to do digital innovation and to find new ways to bring technology to audits. So I'm going to hit on a couple of key points with you guys here today. First, I am going to describe how the business landscape is changing and what exactly that looks like. Second, I'm going to describe what public accounting firms like KPMG are doing to meet those challenges. And then finally, the most important thing for you guys is I'm going to describe what you can do today to be ready to become accountants in the future. So the first thing I'm going to talk about today is a little bit about the explosion of data that we're seeing. So many people ask, what's the big deal about technology? Why is it that we as accountants care about digitization or data and analytics or cognitive technologies? Aren't those the sorts of things that we just really care about at technology companies like Apple and Google? Well, the really short answer is that just like Apple and Google, folks in accounting are also dealing with lots and lots of new information that we just don't have the tools to otherwise handle. So as you can imagine, we have all sorts of devices in our lives today that are using lots of different types of information. So from YouTube and Netflix to Facebook and Twitter, or even an iPhone or an Android phone, every day we're doing lots of things that are recording data that we can use to get some insights. Just to give you a couple examples of how much data is being created today, just in 1 minute today, we create more data than we used to we used to an entire lifetime a generation ago. So just for instance, in 60 seconds, we create over 188 million emails, we upload over 500 hours of content to YouTube, and we share over 3.3 million items on Facebook. Not to mention, we're also sending over 2 million snaps on Snapchat. And really, that's just an example of how much data is created on those 4 applications. As you can see on this slide, through all these other different applications and websites, there's tons more ways that we're creating information right now. So just like all these other industries, as accountants, we can't rely on the old way of doing things to be able to manage this information. We're used to doing things with pencil and paper and with other basic automation tasks. And as accountants, we just get overwhelmed with all these different types of information using the tools that we have available today. So that's why it's important for us to find new ways that we can use technologies to find insights in this information. I also want to give you guys a little bit of a background on the marketplace to see what some of your future employers might be thinking about information. Google recently announced that they have changed their strategy from mobile first to AI first. So what does that mean? That means until recently, Google was focusing a lot on smartphones and exactly how smartphones are going to interact with your lives. Now what Google is saying is they're recognizing the importance of artificial intelligence, and that artificial intelligence is going to play a more important role in data analysis in the future. We're also seeing in a lot of our clients that more and more information is being collected. Every single day, companies are collecting 2.5 quintillion gigabytes of information. Not to mention, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon will each spend more than $12 billion on research and development this year, with the majority of that spent on digitalization and intelligent automation. There's also more than 1,500 AI startups today with over $10 billion in funding that are all focusing on these areas of digital automation. Not to mention that AI is just a booming industry today. The global market for AI systems is expected to reach nearly $100 billion by the year 2023. And then finally, companies today are increasingly embracing technology. Of course, you'd expect technology companies like Apple and Google to be embracing technology, but now pretty much every company finds that they're a technology company and have to find ways to introduce technology into their processes. We also find that chief executive officers are finding that technology is becoming increasingly important in their company strategies. To be perfectly straightforward, US CEOs realize that it's important for them to be agile, which is to say they have to adopt new technologies, or otherwise they risk becoming irrelevant. A majority of 400 US CEOs were surveyed for KPMG's CEO Resilience Survey. And what they told us was that being too slow is going to lead them to obsolescence. What they found here is that change is just becoming quicker and quicker every single year. They've been trying to pursue new strategies to find ways they can grow more quickly and to embrace new technologies. So that might be things like acquiring new startups that they can use, or they might be trying to find new ways that they can disrupt their sectors. But the short answer is, as you can see here in these survey results, that CEOs are finding that their businesses keep on getting changed by technology, and we have to keep on changing with them if we want to be relevant. So we've just talked a whole lot about how businesses are changing and how they're generating more data than normal or than in the past, and how they're going to increasingly need to find new strategies to utilize all that data to stay competitive in the future. So how does that exactly impact us as accountants? Well, we actually recently commissioned, along with Forbes, the Next Generation of Audit Insight Survey. And what we found is that overwhelmingly, our clients, the companies that we audit and that we do accounting work for, feel that we are going to have to start using technology to increase the quality of our audits. And that all of our competitors, so all the other public accounting firms out there, are also using technology in their audits today. What we're finding is that advanced technology continues to be essential for all of our clients' businesses, and they are expecting us as accountants to keep up with that. As accountants, we continue to face hurdles with all this technology that we're trying to find ways that we can change so that we can embrace the technology. So what we found is that in many cases, we don't have enough data, or we don't have access to the data that we need to be able to provide useful insights to our clients. We're also finding that our clients are changing the ways that they're doing things, and that we have to adapt how we as accountants work with our clients. So for instance, many of our clients are adopting blockchain technologies like Bitcoin, which completely revolutionizes the way that we perform audits. So gone are the days in the past where we might look at a customer's receipt to verify that they have placed an order. Instead, we're going to have to find ways that we can use the blockchain and tap into technologies like Bitcoin to get that understanding. So as accountants, we are working side by side with our clients to figure out how we can meet their needs in this changing economy. So as I said before, the business world is just completely getting revolutionized by data and by analytics right now. So how are auditing firms like KPMG stepping up to the challenge? KPMG is committed to introducing new tools that we can use to audit our clients and to provide useful insights. And then we are also committed to developing our people and getting our workers, just like you, to learn the new technologies and to figure out the best ways that they're able to provide value to our clients. We are investing lots of time and lots of money into developing new data analytics tools, which I'll demo for you in just a couple of minutes, that we are able to provide to our clients to improve their audits. We are also developing new centers of innovation like our Ignition Labs, which are dedicated centers where we are developing and testing new technologies. In fact, KPMG has one of our innovation centers right here in Grand Rapids. And then finally, we're really focusing on cognitive technologies. We have an exclusive license with IBM Watson to license their technology to develop new automated intelligence techniques that are able to revolutionize audits and make our lives a whole lot easier. On top of that, we're really investing a lot of money in training our people. So for instance, we are building a new training center down in Florida called the KPMG Lake House, which is going to be the new center that we're going to use to teach our people about all the technologies that are out there and to upskill them to be able to embrace these technologies. We are also teaching our people how to work with heads-up thinking, which is a critical thinking technique that people use to think about new ways that they can embrace technologies and that people can use to think about how they should be tackling accounting and auditing problems. So what are a few of the capabilities that companies like KPMG are using to improve audits and to improve accounting? So I've just listed out a couple of the different techniques up here that we're using, but we're using a wide variety of different tools to improve how we deliver our audits and to improve the accounting services that we provide to our clients. So for instance, as you can see up here, we are using tools that allow us to gain more insights into our clients' general ledgers. So we're using tools like our iJet workflow and our KPMG Clara Advanced Capabilities workflow to gain insights into our clients' general ledger systems. We're using tools like our contract reader and our automated vouching tool to automatically read contracts using natural language processing to be able to parse invoices. And we're using some other cool tools like inventory smart glasses to automate procedures that we used to have to do on site. So what I'm going to do is do a little bit of a deep dive and talk to you guys a little bit about a few of the tools that we're using right now as accountants. So one of the first tools I want to highlight is smart glasses for inventory. So in the past, one of the procedures that we would have lots of our newer accountants do are called inventory counts. What we would do is we would have one of our new associates go onto site at one of our clients and count warehouses or count inventory at a factory or at a warehouse. And normally these counts, they're not exactly the most fun thing to do. Typically, you would be doing a count late at night or on the weekend, and you would be driving to a rural part of town, a few hours away from where you live, where you'd have to do these counts. They're not very much fun. One of the ways that we're using technologies to make these counts better is something called inventory smart glasses. What we're going to do is we're going to ship these smart glasses, which is a pair of glasses that have a video camera in them and use augmented reality technology. We'll ship those glasses to our clients. And then instead of having one of our people drive all the way out to a client site to perform an inventory count, instead, a worker who works in the warehouse or in the factory who's familiar with the inventory will wear these glasses, and us as auditors can see what they see and go have them do the counts for us. So this is going to be one of the technologies that's really going to improve our people's lives and make performing the audits a lot easier. Another technology that we're going to be using is something called the automated vouching tool. As accountants and auditors, one common thing that we do in our day-to-day jobs is something called vouching. Essentially what we would do is we would look at invoices that our clients received, and we would compare the invoices to what they have in their systems to make sure they all match up. As you can imagine, this isn't a lot of fun. Typically, I would have someone on my team would have a stack of 100 invoices, and they would have a data file from the client, and they would compare every single thing in those 100 invoices to the data file from the client to make sure they're all matched up. This is a task that was really time-consuming and, quite frankly, pretty boring. Using the automated vouching tool, what we can do is feed these invoices into the tool. The tool will automatically read the invoices using natural language processing and artificial intelligence, and it's able to figure out whether or not the invoices match up to what's in the client's general ledger system. And actually, I think this is one of the cooler technologies we have today. So I want to take you guys through a short demo on how it works. So as you can see here, this is what the tool looks like. And we would use this to perform a vouching procedure. The way that we would typically perform a vouching procedure before we had the tool is we would get a listing like this with all of the invoices from our client on it. Now, in this particular example, I've only listed out 5 invoices, but typically our clients would give us hundreds or even thousands of invoices that we have to look at. And then what my job would be is to take a look at each of these individual attributes that's on here. So the invoice number, the vendor name, the amount on the invoice. And I'd compare that to an actual paper invoice that I got from my client. So for instance, I would compare it to a document like this to make sure that the invoice number matches up and that the vendor name matches up and that the dollar amount matches up. This is all pretty straightforward to do, but as you can imagine, this is really time consuming if I'm trying to do it for hundreds or even thousands of invoices. So this is where the automated vouching tool comes in. The automated vouching tool allows us to speed up this process a lot more quickly. The first thing we would do is to upload our listing of invoices, which I'm going to do right here. And then my second step is going to be to upload the actual invoices themselves. And now, as you can see here, we've got all of the different invoices in the system, and the tool is just going to take a minute to ingest them. Now that I've got these check marks here, I can see that my invoices have been uploaded into the system. And what it was doing while it was thinking was it was going through and using natural language processing. And what that means is that the system is able to look at this invoice and it's able to read it the same way that a human is able to read it. So it's able to see the word invoice number up here, and it's able to figure out that the number that's beneath it is an invoice. Or because it says total here on the left, it's able to figure out that the amount that's over here on the right is a total dollar amount. So now that the invoice has been read by the system, I simply click here and click Run Test. And now the system is going to go through and it's going to read each of these invoices and it's going to compare it to the listing that we had a moment ago. And it's just that straightforward. The system has finished looking at all the invoices and it's given us our results file, which we can open up now. And with the results file open, we can very quickly see where the system found some differences and where it said everything was okay. So we can see that for the majority of the invoices that we looked at, all of the invoices matched up to what the Excel file said it was going to look like. But if we look here at item number 4, we can see that there's a couple of differences. We can see here there might be something a little bit off with the name, or there might be something a little bit off over here with the task order number. If I click into this tab, I can see what the Excel file said, and I can see what the system read on the invoice. So I can see here for the vendor name that according to the invoice, the vendor name was USSGL Group. But according to the Excel file, it was USSGL Corporation. I can also see here that the task order number didn't quite match up between the two invoices. So now this is where, this is the part of the procedure that's performed by our staff, is the system has told us where the attributes are matching and where they're not matching. And we have to start applying some critical thinking to figure out whether or not there's an issue. So for instance, I can see right here that we have USSGL Group versus Corporation. And what's probably going on here is that the vendor just has a slightly different name in the company system than it does on the invoice. So this is something that I probably don't think is a big difference. I can also look on here and see that the task order number isn't matching up between the two different documents. So I can really quickly go and investigate it by looking in my automated vouching tool invoice. And if I open up this invoice, what I'll see here is that the task order number is right here and the PO number is right here. If I compare that over here to my Excel listing, what I'll see is that the system, when it scanned in the invoice, it mixed around the PO number and the TO number, and it got the two switched around in here, which is why it's saying there's an error. So I can resolve that difference right now and look to see that there actually is no difference. It's just that the system didn't scan it in quite right. So this tool, it's not exactly perfect, but as you can see here, it really sped up the amount of time that it would take for me to go through each of these invoices one by one and figure out if there are any differences on my own. So that's just one example of how we're using technologies today to automate our audits. So now we're finally coming to the last part of our presentation, what you can do now. So you've probably been thinking to yourself, okay, this is all great. It's really interesting to see how data is exploding right now. And it's really interesting to see how accounting firms and auditors are going about using this technology to change around their day-to-day jobs. But what exactly can I as a student right now do today to prepare myself to be an accountant in the future? Well, I've listed up here a few of the things that I think you guys can do today to help prepare yourselves. First of all, I would say that you should try to stay current on trends and seize industry opportunities. And by that, what I mean is try to stay up to date about what some of these developments are. I think I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that the industry is constantly evolving and the speed of change just keeps on getting faster and faster. So the one thing I can say confidently is that everything I just presented to you on today is going to be outdated in 5 years. What's important for you guys is to develop a strategy that you're going to use to stay current on industry techniques to make sure that you are able to remain up to date on these technologies in the future. So for instance, I would encourage you to find ways that you can read industry publications, reading the newspaper, or reading technology blogs to stay up to date on everything that's going on. Second, I would encourage you guys to gain data and analytics skills. So any opportunities you have to take classes at school, either in high school right now or in college, that allows you to learn more about technology and stay up to date on it is a great opportunity. If you have a programming class at your school, I'd encourage you to take the programming class. If you can go to the library and check out books on programming, that's another great way to do it too. Next, I would challenge yourself to think critically. One of the things that we are doing with our technologies today is getting rid of the boring parts of the job and making time for more interesting parts of the job. So instead of spending hours and hours and hours pouring through hundreds of pages of invoices, instead it's going to be your job to think critically about the results and apply those to our clients. So I would encourage you to find ways that you can improve your critical thinking skills today. Finally, I would encourage you to learn effective communication skills and to practice every opportunity you get. It's becoming more and more important to be able to effectively present to people and to compose written communications. And these communication skills are just going to become increasingly important the more and more we continue to digitize. So thank you guys for your attention. I hope that you learned a little bit today about how the accounting profession is embracing technology. If you want to find out more, I've posted a link to our website, kpmgcampus.com, where you can learn a little bit about what KPMG does and how we're going about embracing technology. I've also posted my email up here, so that if you guys have any questions for me, feel free to reach out. Thanks and have a great day.